Okay, so here we are back again for the last two meditations. And I think especially the next one is one of the meditations which is really pleasant by thinking about the kindness of others. And it's really helpful to, to, to let go of the self-cherishing when we see, how dependent we are on others. So it's like, I think sometimes this word, the kindness of others, for us Westerners, again, it's a little bit of a problem, because when somebody's doing their job, so in order that we don't have to be grateful, we kind of just go and think, well, it's their job, they're earning money, they don't know me, they don't want to be particularly kind to me. But it doesn't help. So again, when we do these practices and we think about these topics, you have to see the purpose of it, what kind of reaction it should provoke in us. So when you think in a logic way, kind of, because when I first heard, that everybody has been kind to me at one point, I thought, first thing that my ego-centered mind said, well, yeah, but then also everybody has been nasty to me at one point. So that's true, but it's not helpful. It's realistic, it's true, and all this, but it's not helpful to generate compassion. So we need to know what we want to do with these reflections, in which direction we want to go. Do we want to be critical and nourish our aversion and anger and self-cherishing, or do we want to be kind of open and be ready and have the courage to look a little bit one-sided in order exactly to generate that mind that can let go of self-cherishing and finds it easy to let go of what I want, and in order to give happiness to the other person. Do you understand this? Because that's important, because otherwise, it goes
yes,
wrong.
Of course.
Yes, of course, Dina says. Well, you see, the way Dina says, yes, of course. Yeah, that's for you. It's of course. So that is good. Sometimes it's not so much, of course. As I said, first time I heard it, my argument was, yeah, okay. So, but everybody also has been nasty to me. So
No, I agree with that. But we ask if it's helpful. I think it's very helpful.
So, yeah, but when I think that everybody also has been very unkind to me, that's not very helpful, unless you're so realized that you think, actually, the ones who are not kind to me, these are the kindest ones. Now, that's very high thinking.
Uh-huh.
Why are they the most kindest to me?
Because they are my teacher.
Yeah, one thing, yeah. And
they are the most in need.
They are the most in need, yeah. Well, like Jesus says, it's easy to love the ones who are kind and all this, but you have to learn to love those who deserve it the least, because they need it the most. It's a very nice saying.
Yeah, true.
But again, why are they actually kinder to us than the ones who are, considerate, praise us, help us? So Dina was saying they're our teachers.
Because they help us practice patience.
Exactly. Without those, how can we practice patience? Without practicing patience, we have one of the 6 perfections lacking. One thing. And the other thing is also they bring to ripen our negative karma. And if you think about karma, that as long as it stays on the mind stream, it increases the karmic imprints. They increase. So from a very small action, we can have a very big result. So it's a little bit like a dentist, that when you notice something, then your hole is still quite small. So then it doesn't get bigger, because he's fixing it. And so also that hurts. We don't like to go to the dentist. It costs money, and there could be some pain, but we are able to bear the short-term pain for the benefit of long-term being free from pain. And that actually, this is a quality that human beings can do that. Animals cannot do that. You know, so when you go with your animal to the vet, you can explain and explain and explain that, yeah, I know it will hurt, but don't worry, you know, in the future, then it will be good and this and that. He will fight. The animal will fight. And sometimes you have to put them to sleep before the vet is treating them. And sometimes, you know, you have to put something in the mouth or something like that. But they definitely would fight against the pain that the vet is inflicting on them. So we also are not very happy. Yes, Edward, I saw your hand. We also are not very happy, but still we endure it. And we're not like my brother, because my brother, the first time he went to the dentist, my mom was telling him, don't worry, it doesn't hurt. So he, you know, and then it hurt. And my brother was so angry that he just closed his mouth and he bit the dentist's finger because he was expected that it doesn't hurt. And so that's not very skillful. And he got angry at the dentist. So he bit his finger. Yes, Edouard, what did you want to say?
Yeah, about animals, you know, animals also have this, you know, understanding, of course, much less developed than ours, about postponing things for their health, because they can self-medicate. They can eat things that they would not eat normally if they feel okay, and things which are not very tasty to them. So dogs do it, cats do it, even flies do it. That's a song. So, yeah.
Yeah. So this, yes, but when you bring an animal, you know, we had like stray dogs, and some of them in India. So some of them had injuries. So one dog, she really liked me, and I would let her sleep in my room also. But one day she came home and I saw that she had something on her belly. And because she was quite okay with me, so I just took her leg when she was lying down and I lifted up the leg. I wanted to see what it was. Boom, she bit me. So it's like, and then I got angry also, in a way, you know, and then I was quite stern, and I looked at her and I said, look, you know, I started to explain, and I said, look, I have to see how you're injured, otherwise you can't help it. So now you don't bite me. And I was really shouting. So I again took her leg, and she came with her mouth. She didn't bite me. She was kind of going like this, because she knew that she would be in trouble if she would bite me, because I think I said, if you bite me, I'd throw you out, something like that. So she was quite an amazing dog. But because she was being treated badly as a puppy, like you know, people would, because she's a stray dog, then so children would throw stones at her. So whenever she would bite, quite out of instinct like this. So yeah. So that was Ushi. So it was also interesting to see, because she looked quite sweet. She was kind of black and half big, and she was a Tushita. So we put a red band around her neck because we told people not to touch her because she might bite, right? So people forgot, because she wagging her tail and she comes. But if you would come from above, she would bite you. And so the people would see the dog and say, oh, you know, how sweet. And she would come and then finished with the sweet dog. They would get quite angry and, you know, like this. So this is our reaction. Yeah. When somebody, even a dog that we understand, they do this because she's been hurt by children when she was a puppy, that she's doing it out of reflex almost, but the self-cherishing still comes up, and she's like, kind of, she bit me. Yeah. So it wasn't nasty bites, you know, it's like most of the time the skin was not even broken, but in such situation, it's really good to see our reaction, because this is where you can feel the self-cherishing. Not just, oh, she bit me like she bites everybody else because I've been told that. It's like she bit me, and then you have it, and then actually you have perfect opportunity to meditate on, okay, what is this this me now that is kind of feeling upset and doing things. Okay, so we go on to the kindness of others. Again, you make yourselves comfortable, sit with a straight back, happy that we can do this together, because even though it seems that it takes a long time for these things to work, but still it puts imprints on our minds just to hear these points again and again and again and again. And intellectually, as Ina was saying, we understand very well, very quickly. But then instinctively, or like out of habit, it's very difficult to change. So this is why we keep repeating and repeating and repeating. And some of these points that I'm giving you, that they all come from the text, then you don't have to remember all of them. Just see a point that works for you, and then you apply that one. When you feel that something is happening. And so what is the first step is to train the mind to see what's going on inside of the mind, not outside. For that, we need a certain stability, clarity. Mind has to be relaxed. So that's what we're going to do the next between 5 and 10 minutes. Again, very helpful to remember why we are doing this, where the teachings are coming from. So you visualize Shakyamuni Buddha. You can put him in space in front or on the top of your head, like on your crown. And to become really aware that the Guru is actually the Buddha. Buddha is the Guru. So you unify these two, it becomes more alive. And then the heart opens, gratitude, joy, respect, devotion. Feeling very fortunate, protected and guided. Okay, so we can reflect that one thing, developing bodhicitta is definitely not easy, because it goes so much against our habitual thinking or behaving. And as we can see in the world, it's quite rare that somebody makes a specific effort to happily put others' happiness before their own. And not just because, you know, kind people or victims or poor people, everybody's happy. So these steps that we've been kind of thinking about, they help us to go in that direction if we want to go in that direction. So in the meditation before, we definitely noticed that just following our own wishes and not being considered about the happiness of others doesn't help us now. It didn't help us in the past. And it will not help us in the future, because it's then when we create all the negative imprints for future suffering. So in general, when we hear about the kindness of others, we recognize very, very few occasions as people being really kind to me. And we recognize only something's kindness when people, how to say, when they don't have to do it, but they do it anyway. Like, we wouldn't recognize a doctor who is treating us, but he's kind of grumpy and he's not so much interested in us, but he's doing a really good job. Maybe put yourself in that situation. Maybe you have encountered such doctors or nurses. How do we react? Are we just happy that he is doing a really good job, or are we more concentrated that he was grumpy and didn't show much interest in how I felt? Because we demand it, isn't it? Like, almost, or we expect it. Like, let's talk about expectation. Doctors, nurses, they have to be skillful, plus nice, soft, gentle, understanding. And we don't see how much under stress they are. So we miss out. We miss out on a lot of occasions that our heart would open, we would be happy if we would recognize people's actions as kindness. Like, for example, another thing, when we go out of the house in the morning, we're full of expectations that nobody will insult me, nobody will steal my stuff, nobody will scratch my car or whatever. This is what we expect, isn't it? Unconsciously. This is self-cherishing, who doesn't take into consideration that what happens to us is due to our karma. So then during the day, especially maybe if you're in the car, if you're walking or public transport, we meet hundreds of people. Each of them has the potential to kill us, to hurt us, to insult us, to spit at us, whatever. When they don't do it, we see it as normal. When we fall down and somebody's helping us up, we almost also see it as normal. Because it would be normal if we would be in a kind of natural state of mind. But when they hurt us, 1 out of 100 others has hurt us. Wow. It will influence our state of mind for many days. Because we don't recognize the kindness of all the others who didn't do anything to us. And most of the time we come home in the evening and nothing has happened. Nobody has harmed me, insulted me, spitted me. Can you try to kind of understand that, to change that? That already people not hurting or harming me, that's kindness. Very often we take parents, the kindness of our parents. And if you've had parents who are very confused and had a lot of suffering, then they don't have space to be kind to their children. So then maybe don't take your parents, take your grandmother or your neighbor. I'm sure you will find somebody that was kind to you, looking after you, being concerned about you. But when we think about the kindness of parents, how much they give up for us. Of course, children, again, they take it for granted. I didn't ask to come into this world. But our parents could have abandoned us because we became too unruly, too expensive, too big a budget. But no, until they die, probably, every day of their life, they have a spontaneous wish for their children to be happy. No matter in what confused way they are trying to bring this across. And don't forget, every time we have a moment of pleasure which comes in through our senses, it is because we have a body. And where does this body come from? It comes from our parents, whether we want or not. If your life is difficult or you're unhappy, of course you can blame your parents for it until you die. It's not going to happen. Yes, we do die, but it's not going to help. Because you cannot change your parents, but you can change your attitude and drop the negative things. I know it's difficult. And when we drop the negative things, it's not that we say, oh, it's okay, it wasn't bad, it could have been worse. We don't say like that. If parents hurt their children, this is not right. But they're not doing this because they want to. They're doing this because their own suffering manifests itself in violence against others or against themselves. But again, in general, parents are really kind. Giving up a lot of their free time or what they want to do for their children. And if you go all the way back to your childhood, how many times when you read something or write something, you think about your first teacher that has taught you how to read and write. I was watching a program yesterday on Austrian TV, young people complaining about their teachers, that they didn't hear or see them or understand them. I could also go that way. It's true. I also felt not understood by my teachers. I also hated school and the teachers, but also I didn't do anything to collaborate with them. I didn't want them to be my friend. But think about your school teacher. They've been not so kind and not so nice and not so understanding. But see what you can do now, thanks to them, and just say thank you and see what that does to you. If you look at the negative side, how you feel. If you just see, oh, but they taught me how to read and write, and that is their job. We say thank you. And when we think about, so many beings like doctors, dentists, nurses, people in the labs, people who work in the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, hundreds, if not thousands of people have done a good job so that we can have a healthy. How many medicines have you already swallowed? How many times did you go see doctor, dentist, or if you wear glasses, people who know how to fabricate glasses? Without them, I wouldn't be able to read. I wouldn't be able to see the things on the computer to turn on the Zoom. Again, it's not to make you feel guilty that you receive so much kindness. It's just a recognition of, wow, thank you. Because then we feel connected, that we don't feel lonely. And it doesn't matter whether they wanted to fabricate these pills or glasses for me. The main thing is that they did it. So we can kind of widen the circle. So from people that you know personally and that you appreciate because you have decided to call them kind people because of what they've done to you. So you feel that warmth in your heart, the gratitude, the wish to repay their kindness, almost naturally. And because of recognizing their kindness, we are protected from our negative emotions towards them. So stay with that sensation, that experience that you feel in your body. And it comes naturally because we recognize the kindness. And then we widen it to all those beings that not intellectually we understand their kindness, but just to see the connection that we have with them. Maybe, I don't know, open your eyes and look around in your room. And then think, how many of these things did I make? How many of these things did I enjoy very much? did I fabricate, plan to make them? How many of these things would I know how to make? And how many of these things do I enjoy? And then again, even you don't know the people, it doesn't matter, but there's living beings standing behind this. It didn't just manifest like that in the shop and then kind of you bought it and then it's mine. You know, we can also kind of become very arrogant and say, oh, it's thanks to me buying that stuff that these people can survive financially. We can also think like that. And then, how does that feel? So basically, with these kind of reflections, we learn to use our thoughts in a direction that we find helpful so that we can be the person that we want to be. Open heart, kind, peaceful, relaxed. Now, you see, we only think about this lifetime. Parents of this lifetime, the teachers of this lifetime, dentists, the doctors, the people in the shop, in the post office, wherever. But compared with all these numberless previous lifetimes that we had, this is just such a short moment. Again, we make such a big fuss. So I could guide you through the meditation of the cup of tea, but I prefer that you do it yourself. Or just a simple glass of water. Something that we enjoy, something that we take for granted. And then for the next 5 minutes, you yourself, you go from one being to the other that has it made possible that you can enjoy that glass of water or that cup of tea. Try not to get distracted and try to put them in the space in front of you, like one next to the other. It doesn't have to be only humans, it can also be animals. And a cup of tea is really simple. A glass of water is really simple, we take for granted. How many beings had to do their job so that you can enjoy it? Don't forget the cup, the glass, the pipes where the water comes from, the water that is clean, etc., etc., etc. Then when you have them in the space in front of you, you just say thank you. And then we look, oh, what did I do for them? So we see that there's a huge imbalance. We receive so much every day, directly and indirectly. What do we give? Not so much. So this is why developing bodhicitta, or at least, the intention, I want to develop a really good heart so that I can, instead of harming others, I'll be able to be of benefit to them. And if I have the skills, I'll be able to help. On top of that, I want to become a Buddha really, really quickly so I can guide them to a state where they can also live their values and be free of suffering and causes of suffering. It's a very good way to repay that kindness. Much better than to have bad conscience, feeling guilty and say, oh, I don't deserve all this kindness. Yes, you do deserve it. Because you have created a karma to receive all these things. Generating bodhicitta, wanting to become a Buddha, is not because we're so noble. It's because we owe it to all these people. And it is a very good way to repay the kindness. Slowly, slowly, we start to equalize ourselves with others. And again, not just the others that we choose, like with all others. So again, not all others at the same moment, but whoever comes into our field of vision, whoever we have contact with, we go like when we feel aversion or, no interest and all this, slowly, slowly. It will take a long time for this to work, I tell you. We have no choice. We have to go in that direction, no matter how long it takes. To use that thought when we feel that not so interested in the person, we ask ourselves, why is my happiness more important than this other person's happiness? And you try to find a valid reason. I am just one. Out there are so many. And it seems as if I don't succeed in making that one which is me happy all the time. I have the occasion that maybe I can make others happy temporarily, already now. So we start to exchange ourselves with that. Also by being fully aware, if I do that, my long-term happiness will be established because of that. His Holiness says, if you want to be selfish, be wisely selfish and be more concerned about it. Lama Zopa Rinpoche says, the moment you start to cherish others, the sun in your life will shine every day. Now, maybe for Israel, it's not a good example because you have a lot of sun and sometimes too much sun. So then you can say, then rain is falling every day or something like that. But you know what it means. Happiness will come, definitely. If we don't do it too early, if you do it too early without preparing the mind that you really want to do this, after a while you will regret, you will feel exploited, you will feel the friar. So it's not much point. So all we have to do at the moment is use these arguments, whatever will work for you. That slowly, slowly our attitude our habit of cherishing ourselves changes into others are just as important as I am, and then even further to others are more important than I am. It's a long and painful process, but it's really worthwhile, I think. What you think, you have to check yourself. Okay, so I think we do 15 minutes break. I think it's enough because thinking about the kindness of others, as long as you're not overcome by guilt and I don't deserve it and what can I do for them? I don't know what to do for them. If you just do it and you enjoy it, then it's really a relaxing and heart-opening reflection, isn't it? You know, it's interesting to see also, we know that people are actively kind to us. Yeah, we have a few people like this, but we might say thank you. But do we ever tell them that we see them as really kind? Have you ever told somebody to say, again, maybe just do this short exercise just now. Close your eyes. Think about somebody that you experience as very kind and you see them and very spontaneously you just say, oh, wow, you're so kind. Very good antidote for depression. Just to do that. You know, you don't even have to say to the person, you might have experienced it. It's totally opening up the heart. Yeah, Edouard, I saw your hand, just a sec. It's totally opening up. Let me just finish, please. It's opening up your heart and it feels good, basically, doesn't it? Yes, Edouard.
Yes, and I think I was sharing the same idea. The language makes a difference. It's much more difficult in Hebrew than in French or in English. For instance, in French, you know, it's common to say c'est gentil, oh vous êtes gentil. Merci, c'est gentil, or vous êtes gentil, ou sois gentil, fais ci, fais ça. And in English, you know, oh, that's very kind of you.
Or in English, I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
And in Spanish, muy amable, which is also you're very kind.
But
also in Hebrew, יפה מצידך, יפה תודה רבה, יפה מצידך. You are very kind. It's very easy in Hebrew. I think it's very easy.
I really love you guys. Really, I appreciate that very much, and I really love it when you know, when we start discussing Hebrew words, Dharma words, Hebrew words, how immediately we see that nothing is only that or absolutely that. Also, when Edouard was saying, vous êtes gentil, c'est gentil. I was thinking about something in French, maybe more intimate, like you say, wow, t'es vachement cool. You see? Something like this, something that really comes from the heart, because also when, oh, c'est gentil, merci. Sometimes it's also a bit flat, this whole thing. So very kind. Yeah.
In Hebrew, it's always trying to flat. When you say nechmad, like the nice or gentil, it's nechmad. And when you say to someone ata nechmad, it doesn't sound the same.
Yeah. So, but it has to come from the heart. This is what I mean. It's not so much the sound, but like, you know, oh, t'es gentil, or wow, t'es vachement cool. It's like, it has more substance when you say that. Yeah.
I think the quality of the voice the intonation, the eye contact, the body language often says more than the words.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Okay, so is it okay if we just make 15 minutes break? You feel okay with that? And then we do the Tonglen meditation, and then we're finished for this time. Great. So see you at 3:05.